Let's take a look at what's happening in and around our community. The Roxbury Collaborative commemorated Patriots Day by celebrating the 242nd anniversary of the start of the American War of Independence on the historic grounds of the first church in Roxbury, built in the 1630s, located in John Eliot Square. The day began with a scrumptious breakfast served in the Theodore Parker Memorial Hall, where Thomas Plant of the Collaborative gave a brief address. Participants were entertained with poetry readings on the steps of the church as American flags fluttered in the cool morning breeze. One of the highlights was the reenactment of the historic ride of William Dawes by Matt Johnson and PFC Holloran of the National Lancers. Marvin Vene of the First Church in Roxbury invoked Godspeed on the riders, who galloped away to the sounds of the melodic ringing of the meeting house bell by Ralph Walton.
The regulars are out!
Barry Gaither, director and curator of the Museum of the National Center of Afro-American Artists, gave a very informative and historic discussion on Elma Lewis's life and legacy. The day's events culminated with a historic trolley tour guided by the knowledgeable Byron Rushing, president of the Roxbury Historical Society. Mr. Rushing, how long have you been doing this tour?
The tour has to be over 30 years old. We were trying to introduce people to Roxbury, especially people of color in Roxbury, to this neighborhood that they lived in, but saw so much of that they would like to hear about, but didn't know the particulars.
The tour today visited many historical sites here in Roxbury, including the Dillaway Thomas House, pictured behind me, that's currently under construction. It was built in 1750 and served as headquarters for General John Thomas during the Boston Siege. As we toured through historic Roxbury, we visited places like Highland Park, the highest point in Roxbury, which is home to Fort Hill. Fort Hill was instrumental in evacuating the British from Boston in 1775. Close by sits the Garrison House, built in the 1830s, which now houses Emmanuel College on 1.65 acres of land. We passed other mansions on our tour. Our next stop was the imposing Mission Church, where Senator Ted Kennedy's funeral mass was held in 2009. Our tour continued down to the oldest burying ground in Roxbury, the Eliot Burying Ground, named after John Eliot, who was dubbed Apostle to the Indians. He, along with several early colonial governors, were buried here. We then continued to the Shirley Eustace House, built by Governor William Shirley as a summer home. It is one of 4 remaining mansions of royal governors in the United States. Our final stop was the Museum National Center of Afro-American History, home to the Face of Eternal Presence, housed in a mansion built in 1870. Let's listen to what Patriots Day means to some residents. What did Patriots Day mean for you today?
It means to me to remember the people who made such a great contribution, maybe lost their lives.
I'm a resident of Roxbury, and I run the Dudley Square Main Streets program, and I'm part of the Roxbury Collaborative that put on this event.
I make sure that I participate to keep up on my history and remind myself of the wonderful things here in Roxbury.
What black people have done in Roxbury over the years, and our veterans within the area. That's what Patriots Day means for me.
I'm a huge history buff, and anytime I can learn more about Roxbury and what black people have been to this neighborhood, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Patriots Day to me means coming here to the Eliot Church and going on the tour narrated by Byron Rushing.
And in the words of the Collaborative, Patriots Day in Roxbury is a commemoration to inspire perpetuation of freedom and liberty. Reporting for Banner Streaming News, I am Nangi Williams.